I'm waiting for. Feel the right in the world of that for sure. Na 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 na. Got to get that feeling.
Hello, loves. It's me, Sunshine. I have a beautiful goddess coming on tonight. My friend, Cammie. Cammie, welcome.
Hi, hello.
Hey, love. How you doing?
I'm excited and grateful to be here.
Yay, I'm excited to have you here. We met in Massapequa, right?
Mm-hmm.
I offer my beautiful purple love in Massapequa, and you work on the other side,
Yes.
offering your beautiful tarot readings, right?
Yes. It's such a gift. I'm not there currently, but I have so many more offerings, and I'm just really excited to be here and share about my work.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. I haven't been there either because of my foot situation, but we will see each other again soon, I'm
Of
sure.
course.
Well, we're seeing each other now, right?
Yeah.
So tell us your story, love. Tell us your beginning, your journey.
Oh wow. So the background is that I grew up with a lot of mental health issues. I grew up with a mentally ill mother, which strongly impacted my perception on the world. Um, it made me a more vulnerable being, I feel like. And it really made me interested in psychology when I was in high school.
Okay.
So when I was in high school, I wanted to be an art therapist because I felt like it was a perfect balance between my creative side as well as my more empathetic side and intuitive side. But granted, the cards, no pun intended, didn't work out that way for me. And a few years ago, I was in a weird situation in my life and I stumbled across tarot on YouTube. And of course, YouTube, all these cool readings and everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like blown away by it. I was blown away by how people were just helping one another on the internet. I was blown away by like people's intuitiveness and like their connection to spirit, and it really made me want to dive deeper into it.
Beautiful. What kind of mental illness does mom have?
My mom is bipolar. I
Okay.
believe she's bipolar 2. I think that's yeah. And it was just it was a challenging experience and confusing for me as a kid,
Right.
because I didn't really understand it. And it was kind of frustrating because, those of you who are familiar with bipolar disorder, it like fluctuates. There's manic episodes, there's highs and lows. So it was a very unstable environment, which impacted my nervous system and really just made me want to dive more into this holistic field.
Yeah. And being empathic, you probably took on a lot of her
Yeah,
energy. Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah.
My mom is a beautiful, creative person. I just feel like people really perceive her the wrong way because we don't have enough knowledge, or
Right.
more people don't do the necessary research on disorders such as bipolar disorder.
Right.
And
People don't understand, right?
yeah, and I just think it's so important to hold space for all aspects of our emotional world and our emotions, our thoughts. And I think by doing so, we create a more empathetic space for each other and we understand each other more deeper. And tarot definitely helps us to do that.
I love that.
Thank you.
So you've been doing it for how many years now?
Okay. Professionally, I've been doing it for about 2 years, but in my own journey, I've been doing it for maybe about 5.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you learned through YouTube, or you learned
Oh no. YouTube's a great place to get started. I think it piques a lot of people's interest. But there's so many other resources. I actually read a lot of books. But most importantly, I learned through my own experiences and like my own intuitive downloads, so to speak.
Yeah.
I felt like I feel like pulling like a card or doing a certain spread at a certain point in your life helps you to kind of connect with the cards on a more intimate level. And it helps you to really see the world in a new way.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yes.
What else? What else do you want to tell us, love?
Oh my gosh.
You're an artist also?
Yeah, I am an artist. I think art was my first love. Art was just like it's like a beautiful channel for self-expression and emotional release. The reason I call myself an intuitive artist is because I don't really go into creating art with an image in my head like a lot of graphic designers do per se. But I kind of just like put my hand on the paper and I allow it to flow. And it's a natural emotional release, a natural connection to spirit, so to speak. And it's just super duper powerful.
Yes. I get my images in my sleep. This is one of them. Ah.
Ooh. So do you have like vivid dreams?
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love vivid dreams. I feel like that's kind of that's kind of how like spirit reached their hand out to me when I started really tapping into the side of myself,
Yeah.
which was always present, but I really didn't understand it. I started getting crazy, crazy vivid dreams. And I have this, if I may, I have this one story that I just want to share with everyone. That
Please
so
share
powerful.
away. We've got plenty of time, love.
So, hello, everybody. If you're here, I'm sure you're in touch with your spiritual side. You probably had like a spiritual awakening at some point. And we all know how intense those can be, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I had a dream about someone that I knew who passed away at the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And it was this very, very vivid dream. It was very confusing. And I saw this man sitting on the bed. And I was going through a very emotional time in my life. And I asked this person, I said, is there anything that I need to do? Is there anything that I need to know? And they said, you've done enough. Looking back at it, I feel like it was like a spirit guide speaking to me.
Right.
Because I woke up in a cold sweat and I was upstairs and my dad was like, are you okay? Like, do you have a fever? But I feel like spirit speaks in such mundane, not mundane, that's not the right word, beautiful ways and simple ways. And they really like shake us up and invite us into listening to them in every element of life, and the worst ones and the most beautiful ones. And that was spirit reaching a hand out to me at one of the most potent, painful moments of my existence.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's when that's the most important time, is asking for help. I mean, every single day I say, I ask for help, and I am grateful for all that I am and all that I have. But when you're going through such a traumatic experience, that's what they're there for. That's what they're there for, is to help you, hold you, love you, show you, right?
Yeah. And I definitely feel like, of course, me going back into tarot, I feel like tarot is a real expression of spirit and spirit guide, so to speak, no matter what that may be for someone uniquely. In every card, I feel like there is a spirit reaching out to us and speaking to us, inviting us into something deeper, whether it be in our unconscious mind, whether it be in whatever situation we're going through in our lives. Spirit is so present in these tools of divination, and it really helps us to bridge the gap, the man-made gap between spirit and our humanity.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you. You're beautiful.
You're beautiful. So tell us how the tarot works.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
I feel like, okay, the best way to explain it is it's magic. And it's like a mirror to our inner world. It's a mirror reflecting something to us. So if you pull a card, for example, say you pull the Tower, right, which is one of the most like feared. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
And Wendy, you're beautiful too, love.
One of the most feared like cards in the deck, right? That's not so much reflecting that something awful is going to happen in your life, but it's mirroring this breaking down of something in your physical world or in your emotional world. So the cards really do this phenomenal job of reflecting what is going on in our inside of us, and it's doing a great job reflecting what spirit is like really pushing our souls into.
That's beautiful.
Yes. And when I started reading, I used to pull like all the scary cards because everyone gets invited into this one way or another at some significant point in their lives.
Right.
I would pull that. I would pull the Nine of Swords, and I'd be like, oh, what's this mean? There's something haunting me, like, you know, but it's so much more intimate than that. And it's so much more personal than that. And pulling these scary cards, so to speak, doesn't really mean that something awful is going to happen to you. It just invites you to be present where you are with all of these things that are coming up. It's spirit saying, this is where you need to be right now. This is what you need to experience to get to the next chapter of your life. And every emotion, every thought, everything you feel, everything going on in your outer world is an invitation and meant to be happening. It does not disconnect you from any higher power.
Yeah, because you're always in it when you're focused, when you're balanced, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Love
Yes.
that.
Thank you.
And
Thank
and
you.
you know, death is also, you know, death of a relationship, a job,
Yeah.
you know, it's just something that was removed from your life that needed to be.
Yeah, I the death card is very terrifying, but I actually like that's one of my favorite cards. So the death card, you know, people are like, oh, what's happening? But it's such I think the best way to describe that card is that it's an angel of death.
Mhm.
And it's more here to help you remove any illusions, any release any repressed emotions so you can like shed and transform into this new version of yourself.
Yeah.
So the card before that is actually the Hanged Man. And it's, or some people like to call it the tethered one. And it's oddly similar looking to a cocoon, like a butterfly in a
Yep.
cocoon
Yep.
upside down. And I think it really indicates that in order for us to get to the death card, this emotional release, sort of freeing energy, which feels very intense in the moment, we must go through that uncomfortable cocoon phase and process everything. And sometimes we're not supposed to make sense of it entirely. We're supposed to just be present with the shifts and the changes that are going on within and without us.
I say it all the time is to feel it. It doesn't matter why or what's happening, just feel it and release it, you know?
Definitely. And I
So
think it's really interesting because spirituality has definitely had a rise in the mainstream, and there's a
yes,
purpose for all of that, but there's a
yes.
lot of emphasis around trying to figure out like why you're feeling this
Yeah,
way, why you're
no.
feeling that way. Not,
Yeah,
it's not always about that. There's a deeper
right,
implication in all of it, but the most powerful thing that I found personally is to just feel and to release all those emotions and figure it out later once you have a clear head. Because if you're
right.
feeling like emotional, and I speak as a Cancer or water sign,
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
feeling
yeah.
emotional, foggy, and
Uh,
you're trying to make sense of it, you'll never, you know, you'll just drive yourself a little bit more crazy in the kindest sense.
right. And it's your ego trying to figure it out. You know,
Yeah,
it's not your soul. So if you let go of that ego side of it and just feel those feelings, ride that wave, you know,
definitely,
and then when you're done with that, all the answers start appearing like one after the other, you know?
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I think wow, emotion is just so emotion is just so powerful and so beautiful. And I feel like so many people in this life really go through this stage of feeling like they're too emotional or like they can't feel their emotions, that they're not allowed to feel, depending on the environment that they grew up in, of course. And I think all of us have experienced that to some degree, that it made all of us feel foggy somewhere on the line.
Yeah.
But it's within all of us to kind of like tap into our emotions and to feel them entirely. And one of my favorite like affirmations for this, and I go into this all the time whenever I feel like my heart is shutting down, I say, I give myself permission to feel. I give myself permission to feel. Um, there was someone who had said that. I'm not remembering who it was, but I found that affirmation and I thought it was just beautiful. And I use it all the time for myself. And I
That's
encourage others to do the same.
yeah. And I say it too in the beginning of all my healings. I'm like, you have permission to cry. You have permission to scream. You have permission to fart. Because, everything is coming out. Don't hold anything back. Don't
Yeah.
hold anything back, because that's why you need, healing, is because you held all these emotions in.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think tarot, there's a lot of reasons tarot can support us. And I always come back to it because I feel like tarot connects everything in my own journey and everything that I've learned along the way to the universe, it just connects everything.
Yeah.
But one thing about tarot is that it really helps us to get into this natural flow of release and this natural flow of energy that spirit or whatever you believe in invites us into. And it reminds us that it's very, very human.
That's exactly what it is. All emotions are human. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yes. And I love that. And you were saying before, when we try to make sense of it, it's our ego speaking.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, crazy magical. But, even in tarot, there's cards that reflect the suit of the ego, the suit of the thinking mind. And it helps us to draw the line between where that is and where our intuition and our emotional world is.
Right.
It's
And
so beautiful.
and being vulnerable is being in your true, authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Being vulnerable is where you are the bravest.
Yes. And yeah, I love that you said that because I feel like you are such a vulnerable, authentic person. And you speak from a place of embodiment. And I just love to hear you share those words with me in the world.
You're so sweet. And you come straight from the heart too. So
Thank you. That's so kind. I really appreciate it.
but I only speak the truth. So what else you got for us, love? Are you gonna pull some cards? What are you gonna do?
I can definitely pull a card for you guys if you like. I'm totally not opposed to that. Let's see. So this is a beautiful deck. It's very bold in its art. It's called the Morgan Greer Tarot.
Okay.
And I actually pulled a card before
Oh, you did?
this podcast today because I had a feeling you might ask that. So, so the card I pulled, and I think it's super reflective for the space that we're holding today. And I hope it touches those who are watching this. It's the King of Swords. And this King of Swords energy is this energy of owning your truth. It's this energy of embodying your truth and sharing from your heart space so you can create a ripple of change in not only your own environment, but within the world. You got to start where you are to create, a ripple of change for the rest of the world. This is the card I pulled, and I just feel like it's so reflective.
Yeah, it was perfect. Perfect. Hi.
Yes.
Anybody have questions for our goddess Cammie?
I would love to answer any of your questions.
Yeah.
The more vulnerable, the better.
Yes, I love that. And what about your artwork? What kind of medium do you use?
Oh, what don't I use?
I love it.
I prefer using watercolor.
Okay.
That water sign energy again.
Yeah.
And I like to use micron pens, fine point pens. Okay. And it has this element of darkness to it, but also this element of brightness when I put out the color. So I feel like it's a yin yang sort of energy, this balance that is quite beautiful.
I love that.
Yes.
Do you have
Anything
around you could show us?
Oh, do I? Oh my God. Let's see.
Well, don't scramble if it's going to be too much.
Oh, no, it's not too much. I'm sitting at my desk. So see, I think it's over here.
And you said you get these images just by channeling?
I'm sorry, say again?
You get these images just by channeling?
Yeah, I just kind of sit down, put pen to paper.
Yeah.
This is what I'm working on currently. I'm a little hard on myself when it comes down to my art.
Don't
But
ever be hard on yourself for anything. Oh, she's gorgeous.
thank you. I
I
appreciate
love
it.
it.
Thank you so much. I think it's really cool that a lot of people that are into tarot and divination are actually have like a real interest in the arts and a great potential to create art.
You should. Are you looking to make your own tarot cards?
Oh my God, yes.
Ah!
I'm trying to do it in a very like natural way.
Okay.
So my initial idea was to kind of like when I'm in these phases of life, again, like the tower moment, for example, that's when I want to put my pen to paper and create a card because I feel like it accurately reflects that energy.
Right.
So I'm not trying to rush the process because I feel like rushing it makes it less authentic
I
and
believe
maybe a
that.
little bit more confusing for those who are pulling the card.
Right, right. I believe that too because I was approached, I think it was 2 years ago, to do my own deck. I do oracle cards, and
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I could do that, but I only have like 20 images that I would use, so I would love to do more, you
Of
know,
course.
have more. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it when I'm supposed to.
Yeah, it's a natural, intuitive,
Yeah.
creative process. It's quite beautiful.
Yeah. I
So,
love
is there any I'm open to talking about like almost anything. My love for tarot is eternal. So, I guess my
Walk
question
away,
is,
love.
do you have any questions for me? Like, is there any anything you're interested in regards to tarot? Anything that I can answer for you?
Um, pull a general card for me if you want.
Let's do it.
Do it. Use your intuition. Tell me what's coming, baby. Ah! Uh, you know I'm pretty magical, so I'm good
Yes.
either way.
So I pulled two cards for you. We have the Empress here, and then we have the seven of, yeah, that's the Seven of Swords. Sorry, I'm not too familiar with this deck. It's I use like a different one.
Yeah, yeah.
But the combination of these cards, and if I may,
Say it
be a
out
little bit
loud.
vulnerable and connect with you
Yeah,
on
I have
this
nothing
level.
to hide.
I feel like you might be in a little space of, I don't want to use the word defensiveness, but more feeling like you need to maybe push yourself or protect yourself in a sense energetically. But you also are leaning into this like beautiful, like heart space energy. And despite your feeling like you need to defend yourself, even if it's in a very minimal way, you have this very strong faith and belief in the universe behind you.
Yeah, I sometimes need to set very high boundaries
Mm-hmm.
because people tend to take advantage of my kindness. So
That's upsetting.
ah, but it's it's normal.
Yeah.
It's a human condition, right? And so I just say no, thank you, or
Mhm.
I decline or whatever, but it's just something part of what I do, it's a human thing.
Of course.
Yeah. And what was the other thing that you said?
There's the energy of defensiveness. So maybe that's what you're
That's
saying, like
the
feeling like you have to
boundary. Yeah,
protect
yeah.
yourself, put your
Yeah,
boundaries up a bit.
yeah.
But also the Empress, just for you, how it's channeling through me is there's this very just strong awareness and connection to the universe. Like you know that it's forever supporting you and that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
open to its many gifts and an abundance
Yeah.
and ways, the shifts in nature.
Yeah. I wake up every day and I'm like, what do you got today? How am I going to serve today?
Mhm.
I'm just so open and so heart spaced, that
Yeah.
You know, it's such a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful for my journey too. You know I told you my journey, but
Mhm.
so I believe that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, exactly how it's supposed to happen, when it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
Trust and believe.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
think trust and faith in not even the universe, just yourself as well.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
just really carries you through this life. And to have faith in even like the most darkest and confusing moments of your life really gets you through it. And it just it's just a reminder that everything, I don't want to say everything happens for a reason, because sometimes bad things happen, that are out of our control. And I don't want to make anyone feel like, things that happened should have happened.
But
But
I
every
believe bad things happen for a reason. I do.
That's
I
interesting.
it's our lessons. It's a test.
Yeah.
Um, I had the other day, I'm on a scooter, and the other day I had multiple things happen.
Mhm.
Um, I have to get down the stairs on the scooter, scooting on my butt, putting the scooter down. I finally get to my car and I forgot my keys. So I just was like, sunshine. So
Mhm.
I go right back around and get back into the house, get my keys, and then I drop my water bottle and the glass shark goes everywhere. And then I cut myself picking up the glass and I was like, "You're not gonna make me in a bad mood." I
Yeah.
said, "I'm just gonna clean up the glass and I'm gonna go on my way." And then again, multiple other things happen and I was just like, "I'm not gonna be in a bad
Mhm.
mood," It's all on the way you react to it. And
Yeah.
within 10 minutes, I was singing my favorite song in physical therapy. I was laughing with everybody, and it was all good. It's how you react to the situations.
I think that's such a profound perspective, and I love how you worded that, because emotions, like like we were saying before, if you don't process those emotions, they remain stuck in you and they kind of hold you down for the day. So
Yeah.
it's like you just felt through it, but you
Yeah.
didn't let it
I
affect you.
I rode the wave. I rode the wave. I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm
Mhm.
not bringing water today."
Mhm.
And then, I was like, "Okay, lesson learned. I have to remember to bring my keys to the car," you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, and it's just lessons,
Yes.
every single thing. How can I look at that in a positive way?
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Yeah.
I think I think one of my biggest lessons personally is allowing myself to emotionally process things. Because as a sensitive, I was yes, ride the wave.
Ride it, baby, ride it.
As a sensitive, I was born into an environment that didn't really understand how to process emotions.
Right.
So I really admire your ability to just feel and then let it go. And that's something that I work with to this very day. I feel very, very deeply. And I feel like allowing myself to fall into this deep, deep, deep pit of emotion for however long it takes really allows me to open myself up to the different opportunities and gifts that life has to offer to me.
Right.
It's very, very clearing. And I think it's just really beautiful how you work through your own, traumas and everything to get to that point.
Yeah. You have to work through it, right? If you wanna get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
And knowing that everything is temporary. Every single thing in this world is temporary, including us, our
Yes.
emotions, situations,
It's
relation.
that I'm reading this beautiful book right now that my friend Aislinn gave me. Shout out to Aislinn.
Excellent.
Hey. It's called Woman Who Run with Wolves, and it's a very feminine focused book.
Okay.
And it explains the cycles of life and death and life, like in its entirety, going around the wheel of it, in this very, very profound way. And reading that book kind of helped me to get this download about the cards that I work with. That, of course, there's a death card, in the deck, but life and death, that energy of it, the release and the opening lives in each and every card in a different way, which I think is very, very beautiful. There's always those heavier cards, but then there's always those cards of freedom. It always depends on where the cards show up for us and how in our lives they show up.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. And I think, death can be a really scary concept for some people, especially for those of us who have trauma around it, especially for those of us who don't like the image of the card. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't allow ourselves to go through these very dark pits, so to speak, how are we ever going to live? How
Yeah.
can we continue? How can we bloom without first dying? And you see this in nature all the time, the physical reality of it outside of ourselves. You see it in the seasons. Winter is a huge death energy, the winter time. And I think all of us feel it, but we can't always put our finger on it because we haven't been taught to do so.
Nope.
It's this energy of us having to go inside of ourselves, go in our hermit mode, so to speak. And it's a very tiring, somewhat draining season. That's because our body is going into a hibernation, into a shedding. And when spring comes again, it's like that life energy, that birth energy that just like pushes itself forward. And it's just so powerful.
It really is. It really is.
Yes.
And death is a beautiful thing. I'm an end of life doula also.
Beautiful.
So helping people transition into,
Yeah.
whole is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. That's where they are at peace. That's where
Mhm.
we're at peace. That's where all our loved ones are, and it's the soul is being when it's being born, it's a transition into the world, and
Yeah.
when it's leaving, it's a transition, you know?
I was absolutely like terrified of the concept of death for like the longest time. And it was not until I had my own experience that I really saw the power behind it and
Right.
how beautiful it actually is. And if not for that own death experience in my life, I would not be the person who I am today. The Cammie that you're sitting here talking to was non-existent maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was in a very, very different place. I was very ego driven. I was very heartbroken. And I didn't realize how heartbroken I was because I just held everything in. But now I'm learning to not do that. And if I had not gone through that uh, experience where I lost someone that I cared about very much, I wouldn't understand what it means to experience death. And when I say death, for me, I did not lose someone physically, like someone I loved did not cross into the next plane.
Right.
But it was more of a personal relationship where
Yeah.
it was best for me to, draw the line, best for us to go our own ways. And that was the strongest death experience that I've ever had in my life, despite that person still being alive to this very day.
And I was going through the same process at the same time as you, love. I left my husband, I left my house, I left
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
In 2019, and I went through a huge, huge death process myself. And I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
And but I had to feel it to heal it. I woke up one night like, oh, everything was coming out of me for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then I woke up sunshine.
Yes. You
But
like the
it was
clouds to become the sunshine.
that's right. You had to move them away. You had to move the
Definitely.
clouds away. And you're not living if you keep shoving those feelings
Yeah.
down, if you're not experiencing those feelings, you're not going to heal. You're not going to learn from them and grow from them. You're just going to keep repeating them over and over again. And that's not living.
Yeah, the greatest gift, and I made a reel about this the other day on Instagram, but the greatest gift is our humanity.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of gifts in this life. There's so many people that we get to meet and love. There's chances and room to grow, but our humanity, the fact that we get to feel these things, the fact that we get to love and then mourn, grow and then die is a gift in itself. This whole life is a gift. Tarot has really reflected that to me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super duper powerful.
It is. It is. It
Yeah.
is. And there's so many of us that have, in just these, last few years, have awakened and realized, wait a minute, this
Mhm.
is not like, this is not how I'm supposed to be living,
Exactly.
connecting to spirit and all that. I love it.
I think it's really interesting, and this is something I don't really talk about much publicly, just because I don't know, I just didn't feel like I should, but I think it's really interesting that we all collectively ended up in this time of people being drawn towards spirituality. And although there was a lot of capitalism and business behind it in the mainstream, it definitely was for a purpose. I think it's really interesting how people became very attached to crystals and like kind of put their perceptions on just what like certain crystals mean and certain tarot cards mean, for example, rather than listening to it, if that makes sense. I think that all holds a purpose, but I feel like everyone had, and I think everyone that goes on a spiritual journey of some sort, kind of like puts these expectations onto spirit, and
Mm.
instead of being open to the great gift. And I, for one, I for one was definitely like that. I would get rose quartz and be like, get me a boyfriend now, But I think, I think that you know, we all have to go through that, realizing that spirit is not so much what we tell it to be, but it's more of what it has to offer to us.
Right.
It's a mutual relationship, like, a relationship with your partner or your parents or your boyfriend. But like, I think by that whole experience just happening a few years ago at the height of COVID definitely awakened us all to a new level, even if we couldn't fully comprehended, even if we were projecting our ego onto certain aspects of the spiritual field.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And that's important too, because there's a lot of us that have awakened, and it's a beautiful thing. But when you're offering it to others and stuff, it's important that you go through your inner experiences and heal them too.
Yeah.
It's so important to be vulnerable and do the work.
Yes.
Do the work.
I remember specifically this one time, and I was working at a metaphysical store at the time. um, I remember carnelian had flew up, and that's a very sacral chakra crystal, very powerful. And again, it was one of those crystals that people were advertising as it's going to get you a boyfriend. And who doesn't want a boyfriend? I think we all want a partner. But I think it's really interesting that we were putting our perceptions and projections onto it. But what was really interesting about it is that people kept buying it, women kept buying it, and it's a crystal of sacral chakra healing. So even though we were like, this is what's going to do for me, it was actually doing some deep, deep work on a womb level,
Yes.
On our sacral chakra level.
Yeah. And I have an issue with I believe that did you ever read the book Pussy? Pussy?
I'm
Read.
not, but I heard it's
Oh,
really
it's
good.
so good. It's so good. Talk about your sacral chakra.
Mhm.
But it's she does it in an analogy that, you know, as human beings, we're always looking outside of our bodies for that partner, for that comfort, for that compassion, for that support, where we have it right inside of us the whole
Yeah.
time, and it's when you look deep inside, you're good. You have everything you need right there.
Yeah.
So you are whole. And if you meet a partner that is whole, then you make a third thing that is whole,
Hmm.
But it's huge to do the inner work.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really fascinating that when we talk about intuition, when we talk about psychic gifts, we focus very much so on the upper chakras, so like
Mm,
the third eye and crown chakra.
right.
But what they don't tell us is the power behind our sacral chakra. Like, there's a reason we say, oh, I have a gut feeling. Like, the center of intuition that I found, rooted intuition at least, is in the sacral chakra. When we're looking to transcend, that's where we would connect with the upper chakras. But the sacral chakra is really that knowing, that power in our bodies that brings us towards what we are meant to be doing with this life. Like if I had not followed my sacral chakra, like the excitement that I feel when I pull a tarot card, I would not be doing it today. It would have not manifested into my reality if I did not follow that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the example I didn't say before is, when you're just coming into your womanhood and you start feeling that juiciness in your sacral chakra and everything. And then a boy or a girl comes along that you find attractive, you get that juiciness, but it's not them that's giving you that juice. It's your own self that's giving
Yes.
it to
It's
you.
like you know what you want. It's like
Yeah, yeah. So
I
it's
think that's so beautiful.
yeah, it's true though. It's true,
Hmm.
So
There's a lot of in the same way that we were talking about how the ego and everything attaches to tarot, there's also in each card, it also connects to our sacral and not our sacral, our chakras. So our
right,
sacral, our root, all of that. And some really powerful cards for the sacral chakra are, well, the Suit of Wands, but specifically the Queen of Wands, I feel like, and the Ace of Wands, because the Ace of Wands is really about us taking our energy and breaking a pattern with it and creating something new, which is
right,
something we're always constantly doing when we pick up new interest, when we move towards things that light us up. And the Queen of Wands tells us about our power when we really like set those boundaries from our sacral chakra and saying like, no, like you're not going to mess with what makes me happy. No, you're not going to, mess with my intuitive knowing. It's beautiful. And I said beautiful like 10,000 times during this tape. I think there's no other word to describe
well,
it.
I've said it too 10,000 times. Beautiful. And knowing, stepping into your power, you can, you set your boundaries, you know your worth,
Mhm.
just your power, your
Yeah.
worthiness. It's so beautiful. And it is your passion. And, you step into your passion and your authentic self and your creativity, and you just keep
Mhm.
on shining. I love it. I love it. I love
Oh,
it.
your energy is so vibrant. Oh, I love talking to you.
And
Yeah,
you
it's so true. And also like stepping into your power is it's deep work. Like it's not as easy as some of us make it out to seem. It comes with a lot of shadow work. It's like the
yeah,
moment you decide to put your foot forward and say, I want to be in my fullest embodiment of empowerment and creativity. It's like the universe puts opportunities and people in front of you that make you question that, or make you feel like you need to go back in your shell and hide.
yeah,
And it's in those moments where we have to really navigate those emotions that come up, but also choose to step into it despite what's coming up.
right.
It's not so much about pushing against it, but by saying like, I see you, and moving forward with it anyway.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
And doing, allowing yourself to do what brings you joy.
Yes.
allowing you to say no to what does not belong to you and what does not serve you. Saying no to, I have a lot of people that, I was a people pleaser too, if I do this, they're going to love me more. If I do this, they're going to, but no, it's about that's conditioned love. If you do it because you feel that they're going to love you, they're putting conditions on you. And if they love you anyway, if you say no, then that's unconditional love,
Yeah.
So it's very important to see all your flaws, as Danielle just said. But it's important, and people will keep talking, as Wendy just said, but it's doesn't matter, because you're in your own bubble, you're in your
Yes.
own power, you're in your own love. It doesn't matter what anybody else is saying about you,
Yeah.
because you know that you are good. You are
Exactly.
amazing, you are powerful, and you are love.
Oh, you're so vibrant in your expression. I love it because it's so true from your heart. I feel like, that energy, it's so magnetic. Yeah. And once you really decide to work with it, it works with you.
Yeah.
Someone that I love very dearly, when I told her that I was pursuing this, she's my aunt. Her name is Aunt Mary, and she inspires me deeply. She told me that once you decide to work with spirit, spirit works with you.
Yes.
And I feel like
Woo, I just got
that is not only in terms of like what they have to offer to us, but in every aspect of spirit, like the spirit of your sacral chakra, the spirit of your heart. Once we start to work with it, it continues to put opportunities for our growth in front of us. And it becomes magnetic and it pulls things in so we can let go of it, essentially.
Yeah. And it's everything we do is spirit. It's through us. The healing, it's not me, it's through me.
Yes.
Doing all that magic.
Yeah. We're just
Conduits.
yeah, we're not, I don't want to say we're just vessels for it, but we definitely have a relationship with spirit. And spirit channels and works through all of us in our own offerings and our own creativity. Like I know people that are great healers that work with spirit that have basic 9 to 5 jobs, and they are so vibrant in what they do, and spirit works through them in that way. They touch people's heart with their own spirit in that way, whether it be in a school, whether it be in them pursuing their own business.
The hospitals,
Right.
there's full of healers there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think spirit works in all of those aspects of life, even if we can't see it, even if we kind of reject certain aspects. Because I'm definitely like, me personally, I'm like, I'm not about 9 to 5 jobs. That's not my thing. But I totally like look at the people in my life. I look at people I read for, and I see them in their power when they do these things, and they touch people's hearts in that way, and spirit is just working through them.
And it's all planned out for us, it's these are all stepping stones, and like I said before, everything's temporary. The job that you're in right now might not be the job you're in a year from now.
Exactly.
Always growing, always expanding,
I
as
think
long
that's
as
like
you're
so
doing the
scary
work.
but so beautiful. So scary but so beautiful.
Yeah. Do the work, every day. Try to, inspire and nourish yourself every single day, and pray and connect to spirit. I believe in that.
Yeah, of course. I
And-
found that grounding ourselves
yes.
in spirit, grounding ourselves on the earth, opens us up to the celestial, so to speak.
Mhm.
So when we come to our bodies, when we come to our altars or whatever we work with and do the work, we kind of like open ourselves up. It's like our crown chakra opens, like a visualization. It's like
Yeah.
we cannot open our crown without also being rooted like a tree.
It's true. It's true. It's so important to ground.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. I say it almost every time. Ground, surround, protect.
Yes. Yes. I
Ground,
love trees.
surround, protect.
Trees like definitely keep me grounded. I
Yeah.
feel like they have these deep roots in the earth, but also they kind of keep growing and growing towards the constellations and the
Yeah.
stars.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of that interconnectedness, the interconnectedness that's within all of us,
Yeah.
within myself, within the cards, within
Yeah.
any spiritual practice.
I'll show you my tree right behind me.
Yes.
Yeah. See her? That
Yes. Oh my
goddess?
God, I'm being so close to the camera. I guess.
Ah, you see her?
I do. So beautiful.
But that's my goddess right there. That's my soul. I'm a tree.
Mhm.
I'm a tree.
I think we're all tree women. And tree
Yes.
people.
Tree goddesses.
their
Yes.
their wisdom is just so beautiful.
There's that word again. Ah!
I think that's gonna be our soul connection word.
Yes. Beautiful. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? Does anybody have any questions for this beautiful goddess, Cammie? Say it out loud. Say it out loud.
Please don't hesitate to ask any questions, whether it be about tarot, whether it be about anything that's on your heart or mind. I would love to answer you guys. I love doing this.
Yeah. And
And
her information is scrolling on the bottom. She does private readings.
I do, yes.
Yeah, so
I also like to I don't like to. I love to teach tarot.
oh,
I
okay.
feel like doing it one-on-one creates this real container for you to focus on your own intuitive growth by focusing on the messages that the cards come like, oh my gosh, I'm just messing up my words. The
That's
messages
okay.
that the cards have to offer for you. And it really creates this container where you don't focus on everyone else's perception of the cards.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Because I know when I come across somebody who does readings, I know exactly who taught them because it's the same way every single time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. And I say, love, do you? Every
Exactly.
single time I come across someone who does, it's familiar, and I'll say, "Did so and so teach you?" And I'll just say, "Do what brings you joy. The
Right.
words out of your mouth should be your words." It's so important.
Every tarot resource, whether it be the internet, whether it be books, is simply a tool that helps us step into our own relationship with the cards. And even to this day, I would consider myself a professional to a degree just because of all the work I've done in it.
Of course.
But I'm also still learning like so much. And every
We're
day I'm
always learning.
defining my own definitions of the cards. So
Yeah.
to really like help people tune into that helps them to create a very intimate relationship with them. And an intimate, unique relationship with spirit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We have a question from Goddess Victoria.
I've only ever read my own cards. Do you believe that someone who can read their own cards is able to learn how to read cards for others? Yes. And I'm gonna tell you why, because I did it. And I don't, want to toot my own horn, but
Yes, toot your own horn. Toot it.
it's definitely, possible. I feel like when you learn tarot on your own, you create your own intimate relationship with the cards, as I said before. By doing so, you gain more strength and more trust in yourself to read for other people. Reading for other people is a completely different ball game. So it's a little, what I found is that some people will be kind of closed off to it, but also you might find that a reading that you sit down for will teach you something new about the cards. So what you need to do is you need to continue to practice for yourself. Keep, strengthening your trust in yourself. And when you find at least, 80% trust in yourself to take the jump and read for others, I would encourage you to do it. You will never know how great you are at reading tarot if you don't try to read for other people. I'm going to be completely transparent. The first time that I did a reading, I had an anxiety attack, like sweating. I was crying. I went to my mom. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. It was huge imposter syndrome, but it gets so much easier as time goes on. And when you keep learning to read for yourself, you'll definitely deepen your connection with the cards and spirit.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. I used to, when I first started offering what I do, I would have my friends come over. Do you want some purple love? They're like, okay, and they would, and we would go through the process, of what you feel until I was ready to, go out there, and actually ask for an exchange, So, yeah. She wrote, thank you. I'll work on deepening my connection and one day I'll take the leap. Yes, you will, love. Yes, you will. And then Jacqueline wrote, she got a sign today from her nephew. Yay. Yes, we are all connected.
I'm going to cry. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with Sunshine.
Yes.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody else have any more questions for this beautiful goddess? So fun. She said you're welcome. Jacqueline said you're welcome. Yay. I love it. I love it. I love it. So if there's anything that you want to say out loud as advice or just whatever intuitively comes to you.
So the first thing I want to say is that my heart is so open right now. I feel like I'm going to cry. I'm so grateful.
I love making people cry.
Right? So fun. But my heart's just so open right now. Thank you so much for everyone to sit here and for sitting here and listening to my story and my passion. And I just hope that, if you feel drawn to the cards, if you feel drawn to service in any way, you follow that feeling because you're being divinely supported. The second thing I want to say is that if anyone has any questions about tarot, please reach out to me. I don't do this, only for financial gain. I do this because it's my heart's work, and I really want people to see spirit in every element of life because it's truly there. I believe that profoundly from my own experiences. And the third thing I want to say is you're all beautiful. I can't see you all, but you're all beautiful. And I hope you know that you are being divinely supported and that you are capable of tapping into your own intuition, of feeling your feelings, and that everything in your heart is real.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Sunshine.
Oh, you got another one. You are so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I think that was a beautiful, beautiful show we had. And thank you for sharing your truth and your vulnerability with us.
Always fine. It was an honor to hold space with you.
You are a beautiful soul, love. I'm so glad we met, and I'm so glad you came on. And if anybody has any questions, definitely reach out to her. She's so beautiful and giving and loving and straight from the heart. Yay! May we all be happy, healthy, wealthy, and free.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. choice.